If your income is low, one wrong investment is not just a mistake. It can be a complete setback, a debt spiral, months of painful recovery, and stress that follows you home. Because when money is already tight, loss feels heavier, it hits harder, and it lasts much longer. This is why low-income people should not invest the way the internet tells them to. Because the internet sells excitement, it sells speed, it sells fantasies built for people living completely different lives. But when your margin for error is small, excitement is expensive, and fantasy becomes dangerous. The financial world loves one simple question: what is the best investment? But for low-income earners, and that question is already broken. Because the best investment is never universal. It depends on how fragile your life becomes when something goes wrong. And for millions of people, one unexpected expense to shake everything. A broken phone, a medical bill, a rent increase, or a missed paycheck. One single event, one problem, one crack in the system. And suddenly, survival becomes the priority again. That is what low income really means. Not a number, not a label, but a financial reality where your essentials consume most of what you earn and where you do not have the luxury of making expensive mistakes. That is why low-income investing is not about looking smart. It is not about chasing status or pretending to be in a financial position you have not reached yet. It is about building stability first, because stability is what makes growth possible. If someone earning $10,000 a month loses $500, it may be frustrating. But if someone earning $1,500 a month loses $500, that can change the entire month. Maybe the rent becomes harder, maybe the food budget breaks, maybe debt fills the gap. Recovery takes weeks, maybe months. Same law, completely different damage. And that is why low-income earners cannot afford to invest emotionally. So, where should they start? Not with hype, not with the hottest asset online, and not with anything designed to impress strangers. They start with financial oxygen, emergency stability. Because before money can grow, it needs room to breathe. For many people, the first real target is not wealth. It is simply having $500 to $1,000 that life cannot immediately steal from them. And after that, the next layer is stronger, 1 to 3 months of essential expenses. Not because this creates fast returns, but because it stops every emergency from turning into a crisis. Then comes the second move. And for many people, this may be the smartest return they can get. Destroy high-interest debt. Because if your credit card debt is charging 20, 25, or even 30%, then your money is already bleeding before it gets the chance to grow. And no motivational quote changes the math. Historically, long-term stock market returns may average around 7 to 10%, but paying off debt that costs you 20% is a much stronger financial move than trying to chase an 8% market return while drowning underneath that interest. That is not boring. That is powerful. Because real investing is not always about where you put money. Sometimes it is about where you stop losing it. But the third investment may be the one that changes everything, increasing your earning power. Because when income is low, growth does not only come from investing cash, it comes from investing in the machine that produces it. You, a skill, a certification, a tool, a language, a side service, or a freelance ability. Anything that can raise your monthly income by even $200, $300, or $500 can do more for your future than many small financial assets ever could in the beginning. Because when your income rises, your strategy changes. Your options expand, your pressure decreases, and your financial life stops feeling like survival with no exit. Only then does traditional investing begin to make real sense. This is where simple, long-term investing enters the picture. Not as a miracle, not as a shortcut, but as a system. Maybe you start with $50 a month, maybe $100, maybe $200. The number matters less than the consistency. Because what you are really building here is not just a portfolio. You are building a habit strong enough to carry a better future when your income catches up. And this is why low-income earners must be careful with what they avoid. They must avoid speculation disguised as opportunity. They must avoid locking all liquidity into assets they cannot escape. and they must avoid copying wealthy people before they have built the structure that wealth stands on. Because rich people can survive bad timing, they can survive illiquidity, they can survive years of waiting. But when your income is low, survival itself is already expensive. So, the smartest path usually looks like this. First, build a small emergency buffer. Second, eliminate high-interest debt. Third, invest in raising your income. And fourth, begin simple, long-term investing with whatever you can sustain. That order may not look impressive online, but it is real, and real is what works. Because when income is low, the best investment is usually not the one with the highest theoretical return. It is the one that gives you more control, more breathing room, more resilience, and a better chance to stop living one emergency away from collapse. But the moment income starts to rise, the strategy changes. Because middle income creates a new kind of power. The power to save consistently, the power to diversify, and the power to move beyond survival and begin building real assets. And that is where the next episode begins. The smartest investments for middle-income earners, and why this is often the level where wealth becomes real.